Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. We are starting our Facebook Lives again as we begin our entry into our 2020-21 school year. I appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon as we chart our way through these unprecedented times, and many people have a lot of questions about opening of schools, and we're hoping today will be the beginning of a conversation of answering some of those questions. What we'd like to do today is announce officially that we will be broadcasting our new plan, which is our reentry plan. It's about a 36-page document that we believe answers a lot of questions from parents, from teachers, and even students about what school will look like when we return in September. We don't have all the answers currently, but hopefully today we'll go through this document and just share some of the answers to some of the questions. We are struggling ourselves as an administrative team to put this puzzle together that was sort of sprung upon us, but these are obstacles that we cannot overcome by ourselves. We need the support of our community and our staff, and we hope you join with us in trying to have some patience as we work through some of these issues in this pandemic. This school year will look undoubtedly like no other that you've seen as adults or we've seen our kids that are in our schools today. It will look totally different. It'll feel different. But there is this push for everyone to kind of get back to normal. So there is that natural push of what won't be normal and what is normal, and trying to make forward a school year that puts the health of our staff and our students first, and then try to educate them. I would really urge parents to have a plan A, a plan B, and probably C, and I could probably list all the alphabet going forward. You're going to need multiple plans because we do not know. I mean, that's the struggle. Nobody really knows, if we all want to really be honest, of how this is playing out and what our next steps will be. And so I not only ask parents in our community to have patience, but to plan the best they can for the unexpected as we march through this. We are going to work together to try to answer some questions, and in this document, we start off with some reentry goals and just an overview. The most important thing that I think is a burning question that we'll answer today is really about the question of what is e-learning, what's virtual learning, what's virtual school. All this terminology really, unfortunately, means the same thing, but here in South Carolina, we've had to retool what was e-learning a year ago to what it is today and what it is moving forward. And so we'll hope to answer some of those questions about our instructional delivery system. Remind everyone that the board did approve the movement of the calendar, so our first official day for students that are going to be in cohort A is going to be September 8th. We'll follow a full day schedule. The bell and times remain the same, so we appreciate that. I'll reiterate that all students and staff must wear a mask, a face shield, and when we talk about that, we hear questions about, is this appropriate, is this appropriate? Really, we want to make sure it's a face covering the nose and the mouth fully, and that is comfortable for someone to wear throughout the day. And those will be required in every district building and on a school bus if you take transportation to and from school. We will be following social distance guidelines in our schools. That'll make some of our schools feel a lot different. Our students will be issued, as they have been in the past, a district-owned device, whether they choose to come to school face-to-face or choose the virtual academy. Another question we get asked a lot, which is in here, is there'll be no mandatory testing for our staff and students prior to coming to school. We have some protocols in place if there are symptoms and things like that whilst they are in school, but there'll be no mandatory testing prior to entering school. And then the last thing I get a lot of questions is, what's sort of the benchmark? Things are easy. There's a hurricane, governor calls it off. We move to e-learning, and that process is simple. Almost like in March when the The governor called schools off. Those were the benchmarks. We don't have benchmarks today. Actually, there's such conflicting news about benchmarks, it's hard to understand what to use, because if we were to use the benchmarks that they used back in March to shut down schools, we would not be having this conversation. Actually, we're a little bit more on fire than we were back in March, and I would say to you that we need to try to take a look. So what we will do as a school district is lean heavily on our healthcare providers and our task force to guide us, DHEC, and again, the state to provide some guidance on what we feel. But it's going to be, right now, our approved plan is to start on September 8th for those students who choose to have face-to-face, and that'll be our first day, and we'll move forward. We intend to, over the next, we've got a little over a month and 2 days or so to begin this process of planning. Although we've had a lot of things to plan for, I still think we're in a good place, but we still have a lot of questions to answer that will be in the coming days. We'll use these Facebook Lives. We'll be doing these every week. We'll rotate the times and the days. Obviously, everyone will be notified. In the subsequent Facebook Lives, we'll be bringing in different departments to share specifically about different aspects of the school so people can begin to understand a little bit more in depth about what we're doing in different departments. As you saw last week, we released a video, actually probably 2 weeks ago, about what it will look like in an elementary school. And we'll be doing a middle school the following week and a high school the following week, so people begin to understand social distancing, protocols that will be occurring in our schools throughout our district. We'll also be sharing some other videos, school buses, some health videos. We have some teachers that are going to be sharing. We launched a video earlier this week. Ms. Cannon at North Vista School launched a video about her classroom and the protocol she put in place. Probably within 24 hours, she had close to 10,000 views on that video, which is pretty substantial. We have always felt that she was a rock star, and it just putting these employees out there to show what they're doing. And I think sharing will make people feel like we've got a real good plan and that we're moving forward. So we'll do a lot on social media. There'll be a lot of things. I encourage people to read this document. It is kind of lengthy, but I think it answers a lot of questions, or it could provoke some more questions, which are fine, that we intend to answer over the coming month as we prepare for school. So I appreciate, again, you joining us for this Facebook Live today, and please read our reentry plan that will be distributed very shortly on our website and throughout social media. One of the things that's important for me to address as well today is registration. Regardless of how you choose your instructional model, you must register your child or children to the district, regardless of what you choose. And that, as you can see over my shoulder, is the registration. It is an online registration. We are really pushing the online registration, as we did last year, to ensure we get everyone. So the first thing to do, regardless of your instructional delivery, is to please register at online. And then if you do have difficulty with proof of residency or any requirements, our attendance and zoning department is scheduling appointments, because we also want to make sure that we're practicing good social distancing. So as you can see, the phone number is over on my right-hand side for the attendance and zoning, where it's located, 412 South Dargan Street. And then as well, if you have a question whether you even know whether you need to make an appointment or not, Ms. Leslie Collins at fsd1.org will answer your questions at attendance and zoning as well. So I encourage parents to please register for this upcoming school year. If you are choosing face-to-face, that's all you have to do. If you choose to enroll in our virtual program, that would be a second step, but you must register first in order for going into that second step. The next item I'll share with you is about school tech, and I just want to reiterate, regardless of whether you choose face-to-face or virtual, the school will issue devices the school will issue textbooks. You will still be our student if you choose Virtual Academy because you are registered as our student. So we will make sure we'll have all those devices. The second thing I would like to get across to everyone is that if you have trouble with obtaining internet access, and not that you don't want to pay the bill, it's that if you have trouble truly getting internet access at your home, please, if we didn't address you back in the previous school year with a hotspot or with a MiFi that we had distributed, please contact your building principal to share that information with. We would absolutely keep it private and confidential, but we really want to get to that level of almost 100% of our students and our staff having internet access. And the best way is if we know, then we can help you. And so that is part of this communication process, is for us to know and share that information, and then we will do our best to provide that internet access in any way we feel that we have the technological way of giving it to you in the best manner possible. So please understand that technology will be distributed. It's a normal part of what we do here in Florence School District 1, and that is also to provide internet technology as well. I did want to reiterate, because as much as you may hear me say it a couple times this afternoon, is that there's no mandatory COVID-19 testing for staff or students prior to starting school. We are not requiring that for entrance into school, and that masks are required all day long for all staff and students. And so I we'll tell everyone, McLeod is working on a flyer for us that will be distributed in the coming weeks about mask endurance. We ask parents to now start with their children, especially, actually all their children, regardless of the age. Wearing a mask is a very, it's a tough thing to do in the environment all day in a classroom. So start that process, make it 1 hour a day, and then build upon that, even in the house. So I would ask for that mask endurance to start now, a month before school starts. So when we begin that process of starting school, that we have that throughout the day. So masks face coverings, face shields are allowed. They must cover the entire face and go around and go below the chin. Those are going to be provided, and I'll talk about supplies later on for everyone as we go. But again, no testing, but masks are required for staff and students. Okay, let me pause there and talk about our two options, which I think has provided the most questions, understandably. So our two options are a combination of A/B in-person instruction and e-learning. And we are requiring now our students to go on A/B day and splitting the schools and the district in half alphabetically for purely social distancing. We cannot maintain 6 feet with that number of students. We believe by doing this, we can cut our class size down anywhere from 8 to 12 in all of our classes throughout the district. And so on A day, and we'll go through this, those students will be in school if you were in cohort A, and then on the following day, when it's cohort B's turn to come into school, we will be doing e-learning, which is similar to what we were doing back in March. But there will be no face-to-face, and I'll talk about that in a couple seconds. The second option is the Florence One Virtual Academy. This is brand new. We have approximately 25% of our student population that has selected that enrollment right now, but I think hopefully I'll be able to clarify what that is. That's an enormous amount of kids that are choosing our virtual academy, and that is an enormous task to put together in a short period of time, but we'll go through that and what it is and what it is not. But again, the A/B day instruction is again for social distancing guidelines. We took the entire district and split it A and cohort A and cohort B, A to K, and L to Z would be cohort B. And as you can see, there's also been some questions around what our calendar will look like, and you can see that we are alternating A, B day. There is no C day, there is no day off. It's just a continuous A, B, and as you can see over my shoulder, there is a calendar for the month of September. I'll talk in a little while about when a letter will come out and a calendar that'll also be shared with the community, but I think it's important for everyone to see that calendar as well. We do make some adjustments for assignments to have common households so students can be home together and other issues, but really we're sticking to the alphabetical cohort to ensure that we break up our class size accordingly. So what you see on the screen is what it would look like in the cohort A, and then on a B day when that cohort A a student is at home. In school, face-to-face, a normal full day, following the schedule, certified Florence One School teacher, having the related arts, having lunch, all those things that go in it. What all of us prior to, say, maybe March 13th of last year would be a normal schedule on a school day. The average class size, as you can see, would be about 8 to 12, depending on the school that you're in, with socially distanced furniture, 6 feet apart. And we're sharing those through our videos and through our teacher videos. You can see what our classrooms look like. And we talk about plexiglass. We talk about all kinds of barriers within a class to ensure we have some social distancing. And then again, students that choose that face-to-face will have all those lunch, related arts, and other areas of instruction. On the second day, the next day, when cohort B comes back into school to have that normal, regular school day, cohort A, those students will be at home. They will not receive direct instruction from the teacher. They will be working on assignments that'll be placed in Google Classroom and assigned by that classroom teacher. That classroom teacher is still responsible for those students, but there will be no direct instruction. I would assume during the course of the year that there'll be videos and some other instruction as we did in May, but that teacher for that class will be working with that other cohort during the course of the day. There'll be assignments, they'll be following our curriculum on that day, and we'll put in their educational software. They'll be doing some reteaching for some skills. There'll be project-based learning. There'll be videos. There'll be writing assignments. There'll be math problems, quizzes, and tests, and all that'll be done through our assignments. In our reentry plan, there are, as I indicated in the bottom, some sample lessons for this cohort. And that is in grades 2, 5, 7, and 10, which is back in the appendix. That kind of gives parents an idea of taking a sample lesson of what their students will do in both in the classroom on A day and at home on the B day. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit more clarity on the A-B day instruction. Yes, it will honestly slow down our timetable for instruction, but I think as we move along, we will be able to get back to 100% of our curriculum to meet. None of us know where this is going, what will happen as the school year comes along. A question I get, as I said in the beginning, when will we try to get back to 5 days a week? No one knows. If you know, please tell me, because I think I could share that with a lot of people that want to know that. We are starting the school year out with this A-B day at least until that October 8th that we'll talk about later on, a month and a half. I'm assuming that something will cause us either to move more into the 5-day or more remotely. And that all depends on the pandemic and how that affects our community moving forward in the spread. Now, the next option is the virtual academy, and this is where it gets a little bit more complicated in what it is. If prior to the pandemic, a virtual academy was a separate school without our teachers, it was designed by corporations spending millions of dollars, years to design curriculum, videos, and to hire teachers separate from our school district. What the governor and what other people are asking us to do is to create that within our school district, again, using the same staff, the same funding in a very, very short time period to make this work. Challenge accepted, but it's something that's a remarkable task that takes a lot of time to do. But just a couple things to be starting out. We've got approximately 4,300 students that have selected this enrollment in grades K through 12. Enrollment ends at 12 o'clock midnight on August 10th. So we'll not go all day on August 10th. We really need to know those numbers before we can move on. There'll be no exceptions after August 10th. You didn't know, you didn't see the website, whatever it may be, August 10th, it closes, no exceptions, because there's so much work that has to be done to prepare for this. And I talked about this interchangeable language with virtual school versus the virtual option. If you understood what the state was saying, is we've got to provide a virtual option, and that's what we're trying to do. It's going to be a lot of different options, and depending on the grades. And again, this option is for those parents who really felt that they had true health concerns about sending their children back to school in the classroom. We are not designing this that it's a educational option, but it's more of a, you have chosen as a parent, which we respect, as not to send your child back because of this pandemic, and we're trying to provide an education on all of our grade levels to make that opportunity happen, which is a larger task. And it's going to be a combination of all these things: a teacher, self-directed programs, dual credit, South Carolina Virtual Academy, or other programs and other platforms that meet South Carolina standards. So I want everyone to understand it's not just a one fix all, because teaching a kindergarten virtually who has never been in a school before is by far going to be one of the most complicated things. It sounds simple. I would say ask a kindergarten teacher what it's like just in a classroom, never mind virtually not being able to read. And I would probably expand that almost to grade 3. Becomes a tremendous challenge for us as educators. So on the screen behind me is what we right now know and are able to do. What I am not able to do or going to promise is this is what our virtual academy will look like, and then try to deliver something that may be different. There's a lot of people, as I said in my presentation to the board and to the community, a lot of people promising a lot of things. I don't recognize that they're going to be able to deliver. I don't care about them. You probably don't care about them. I care about us, and I want to make sure that we put out a very good product for our students, because that's what we want to make sure we're doing. And this is what I know I can produce right now until enrollment stops on the 10th. This is what I know. So here's what the virtual academy will look like for grades K to 2. So it will be a Florence 1 certified teacher that will have a group of students somewhere in the neighborhood between 20 to 25 students that'll be focusing on our core subject areas: language arts, math, science, and social studies. They will be following a predetermined schedule set by the teacher. There's a lot more flexibility with this, because we do not believe that a kindergartner, first grader, or second grader can be on the computer all day long. But there will still, and I'll reiterate this, even though it is a virtual academy, it is going to need a lot of parent support in these grade levels. So it's not something that we can just hand a computer over to a student and expect them to do it, even though they will be getting direct instruction from a teacher who will most likely be in her classroom and doing those things if they are not one of our medically fragile teachers. But it's going to take a lot of work on the parents' part to do this as well. And so that's what we have designed for all of our K-2. Our virtual academy is a district academy. So these will be students in K-2 coming from all the schools in our district, and it could be a teacher in any of our schools in the district. So I think that's important for everyone to know. The next grade level that we know of is grades 7 and 8. And again, a Florence 1 teacher assigned to teach, who is a current middle school teacher, to these students virtually, utilizing again the 4 core areas: math, language arts, science, and social studies. They will be following their current schedule. So as if they were in school, they would have, if they had math at 9 o'clock, they would log in at 9 o'clock. There would be their class and their teacher, and they would have that time period to be with their teacher, who will be in that classroom teaching. And then they would move to their next class, not physically, but through the computer to their next class. Again, they're focusing on those 4 content areas. The other areas, related arts, foreign language, and other content areas, are going to have to be done a lot through Ingenuity, which will be a platform that we'll be sharing with everyone, Virtual South Carolina, and Apex Learning. There will be honors level courses, but there's less flexibility in this model. In other words, students will be going to school all day long. They'll be following the time periods. There may be breaks where there'll be lunch and things like that, but they will be following their schedule as their teacher will be during the course of the day. And then the other grade level, 11 and 12, their students, what we're doing now is our guidance counselors, who have graciously come in and who don't normally work in the summertime, are right now working and are trying to align their current schedule for juniors and seniors in all of our high schools to some virtual content that currently exists. And that would be Florence Darlington Tech, Francis Marion, our virtual South Carolina, Apex Learning, anything that we can do to align our CTE classes to a virtual platform already in existence. We feel we are going to be successful in this case because a lot of those are already in place. Juniors and seniors, this was a natural part of their schedule for some of them, and so we'll start there and going forward. One of the problems that we face in all these things that people are promising is we found out that Virtual South Carolina, their registration doesn't start until August 24th. And so we are working with the state trying to say, hey, you wanted us to do this, but you're not even having registration. We're fortunate school doesn't start to the 8th, but that gives us very little wiggle room on if a student can't get into class or so. So we're trying to work with the state to push that back. I mean, you just think about my colleagues in Greenville and Florence 1. You're talking about, close to 40,000 students that have chosen virtual, just in those 2 districts alone. The amount of kids, can they handle all this? Can all these universities handle this amount of population coming in? And that is something that we're trying to get through. What I don't know for Virtual Academy right now is grades 3 through 6 and 9 and 10. And when I say I don't know is, right now I am running out of staff in order to create that same model that we have for K2, 7, 8, and 11, 12. And until that enrollment ends, I don't know how far I can go in the district with providing a Florence 1 teacher to that. Right now, it looks like some self-directed is going to have to be, meaning they're going to be on a platform and it's going to be self-paced. But everyone should know by August 15th, and I think that's what we're shooting for. We kept the window open for enrollment for Virtual School Academy a little longer because we knew parents, it was new, to just try to understand as much as they can. I know this puts parents in a position of, well, my child might be in 5th grade and I don't know. Well, I would say to you is, if you're making it for a health reason, you know the answer. If you're making it for an educational reason, I would take a look at some of the other options that are being provided. That's the best advice. I cannot do this with the same amount of staff, the same amount of resources as far as I can. I got to a point, I have to now pause and wait till enrollment ends before I can offer that. So that's the best explanation I can give for the difference between A/B instruction and e-learning and the virtual academy that we're trying to put together. Believe me, our team here in the district, and that team exists of teachers, guidance counselors, administrators, and technology folk that are working around the clock to try to put something together. We are not a district to say, hey, listen, you chose that, good luck to you and be off. We are dedicated to provide the best education possible, and we do not want to put out something that we don't feel confident that we can provide to our students. So that is the best description I can give to you, which is written here in our plan. A couple other key dates that I need you to be aware of, to mark your calendars on. August 10th, as I said, is the enrollment ends for Virtual Academy. August 12th will be a notification via the mail for everyone, whether you were in cohort A or whether you're in cohort B or whether you were selected for the Virtual Academy. So parents can expect a letter in the mail. It goes out on the 12th. And a letter in the mail that tells you what cohort you're in, if you're in Virtual Academy, and a few other items that we want to share with people. So August 12th or soon after that, expect a letter going forward. August 17th, the Power School Parent Portal opens for schedules and teacher assignments. So when you want to look at your schedules for your child, August 17th. Registration is the week of August 17th to the 21st. Pick up schedules, teacher assignments. You can see your schools, and they'll be sending out more information about particular dates that your school has registration. And then again, September 8th is the first day of school for all of our students. One of the things when we closed back in March was, we still had to provide meals to many of our students. We're a district of almost 70% free and reduced lunch. That's a big part of our operation. It's a big part of why students come to school, is to get some meals. And so we are, again, going to be providing those meals. We have many different delivery options, whether it's in the classroom. Some students, if they choose to come face-to-face, will have the ability to go to the cafeteria. We'll also have it in the classroom. We will be mixing that up, so no student will be in their classroom a whole month having lunch. We're trying to rotate that around. Every school has a different plan, whether it's every other day, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever that may be. Students will be rotating, so they're not doing everything in their classroom. We have hallway delivery, we have a cafeteria delivery system, we have off the bus delivery and after the bell for our breakfast. So we have multiple delivery options. Chartwell's has been fantastic. As a corporation, they really work with schools across the country, so they are prepared and ready to go. If they are a student who has an A/B day, they will, if you're in school on A day, when you leave school on that day, you will have a breakfast and a lunch given to you for the following day, so that's how it will be distributed. If you are a virtual academy student and you don't come to school at all, we are making plans for you to pick up at different locations a 7-day delivery service, so you would have breakfast and lunch as well delivered by the school for you. So either way, in your options of delivery system, you have the ability to still receive a breakfast or lunch from our schools in a fashion that will be communicated. If you have any questions, please check our website. Please email your building principal or Chartwell's directly, and they will help you in any direction. Obviously, if you can't get an answer, call the district office, and you can guarantee you will get placed in a position where you'll get an answer. We will also have extended school day, and that is an option that we will have for parents. We know this is going to be very important. It is also listed in our reentry plan. Students will be dismissed from school at 2:15 and 3:30 for middle schools. All of our schools will have this after school extended daycare or extended school day. I should say, I get faulted when I don't say it correctly. But again, they'll be practicing social distancing. We'll have more classes. So we're trying to limit the number of students in those to about 10 students. We'll have protocols in place of washing their hands, wearing masks. As I said in my previous presentation, staff will go through, as well as students, protocols, temperature checks, symptom checks, and so all those protocols for the extended school day will also happen again, so we can continue to monitor both our staff and students as we go forward. So we wanted to make sure people understand that those shortly. If you haven't registered, you need to contact the extended day office. They will be sending out applications for extended day, and we will continue. The amount for tuition for that has not changed. We kept that at the same amount, and we wanted to make sure we extended that opportunity for parents as well. Arts education. As the grade levels go up, it gets a little bit trickier and a little bit harder to do. At the elementary schools, you can expect your children to have that related arts, and having art class and having music class. Music will be a little bit different, choral music, because this is a respiratory virus that spreads, so we will be having to do something different. But they will have the arts. It's an important part of what this district is about. It's an important part of, we feel, the education process. It's an investment this district has made and will continue to make to ensure our students have that. As you get to the middle and high schools, the visual and performing arts classes will be available in person. Virtual students will be allowed to come back to campus to take some of those classes if they choose so. They will have to go through those symptom checks and temperature checks, but we wanted to make sure they had that ability to have both opportunities to be part of the arts. Dance, theater, chorus plans, those are sort of on hold right now until we get some more guidance on what we can do and can't do, given the social distancing and the health concerns that go along with those. But we will do everything we can to make sure our students are participating in the arts and that they have those opportunities. Some other academics that we've been working on that are included in the plan, students that are at the Career Center, Career Technical Education, those students that are face-to-face, they would just follow their normal schedule. Career Center will be available to them. Again, they follow social distancing, health protocols. They will follow their normal schedule and be able to participate in those classes. If you are a student that has chosen the Virtual Academy and you wish to take these CTE courses, they must take them on site, and they must provide. They have to have their own transportation. There are no great virtual opportunities for this. This is sort of hands-on learning that must be done. We are working to try to have some classes, but right now the classes that we are offering must be on site and have those opportunities. So face-to-face students will have that normal schedule going to the Career Center. If it's part of a student's schedule and they do not wish to have that, they need to contact their counselor and try to work through some other options, maybe delay it to the spring. That there might be some opportunities there. So I encourage you to work with if you're a high school student, to work, and a parent of a high school student, to work with their school counselor to get some of those schedules worked out as well. The IB program. So the IB program for both Williams and Wilson IB program will be taught completely virtual. We've made that decision for this coming school year. Operating virtual, this program virtually keeps us with the IB calendar. We have not yet heard about the testing, and so we feel to start school following their regular schedule, but all virtually will be the best way to go. Those students will follow their exact schedule that if they were in school, our teachers will be in school teaching in their class. We are working to develop a plan for some face-to-face options in class for some engagement opportunities. Brian Howell, who's the director and coordinator of the IB program, he will be hosting, he'll be sending out to parents some more information and hosting some town halls to talk about this some more in the coming days. But we are trying to create some micro schools and some abilities for students to come into school for that engagement, both with their other students as well as their teacher. But I will say the decision has been made for IB to be taught virtually to start school. I don't know what that means as far as how long, but we are going to at least start it virtually for at least, I would say, the first month at a minimum for both Williams and Wilson, the IB programs. There will be some opportunities for some tutoring, some extra hours, and in person, as I said, but the IB program will be taught virtually. Our REACH program will be both face-to-face and for those students that are choosing the virtual academy. We have assigned a teacher to each school. Students will not be boarding a bus and going to North Vista. It'll be face-to-face in their home school. And if it's virtual, it'll be done virtually. In this reentry plan that will be shared today, there is a specific section on REACH and what it is. There is a sample schedule of a REACH teacher, but we will be providing the REACH program for grades 3 to 6. It will follow the same amount of minutes, but it will be taught in school, so they'll be pulled out of their current class to a different classroom with those students, whether you're on A or B day, and that we will not be placing kids on another bus to another school. We just didn't feel like that would be the right thing to do given our protocols and healthy ways about doing our programs here for that. But we will have that program. Obviously, our Ms. McGurn will be sharing some more information. The teachers that will be assigned to the schools and their students will be reaching out as well. And that program will start when school starts. We will be at the 200 minutes. And so we think that this program will be able to have an opportunity to be done both virtually if you choose that, or face-to-face for the coming school year. Our exceptional children, we are working on, it's a very big challenge for us, both face-to-face and if you've chosen virtually for our students with special needs. If you choose the face-to-face, we are working on a model for getting to 5 days, and we'll be working through IEPs and conferences and conversations with parents and teachers to do that, and having our clinics as we've done before. If you've chosen the virtual academy, obviously that will be done virtually like it was in the late spring, as well as the opportunities to have opportunities to come into our clinics, which are face-to-face. So the special needs students, that information specifically will be coming out in the coming weeks. It's much more of a challenge, and it's much more of a challenge for those students to wear masks or shields, and so we're trying to work with them on a case-by-case basis for those 2,100 approximately students that we have that have those IEPs. And so those more information will come out about your individual child and their program in school. But if you chosen either way, we will provide the education in the manner in which you have chosen to the best that we can to meet the IEP goals of your child's IEP. Sports, no matter how many times people tell me they don't want to bring their kids back to school for health reasons, they still want them participating in sports. Right now, we are going with what currently is the guidance of the South Carolina High School League. We have moved to phase 1.5, which still is sort of that summer conditioning, not the full practices. As you saw the release yesterday, they've shifted the dates again for practice back a little bit more. My gut tells me that they're just waiting for other people to make some decisions so they don't have to make a decision. But at some point in time, they will have to make a decision about sports schedules moving forward. And that's all of our sports: cross country, girls golf and tennis, volleyball for girls, football, and we're just awaiting some more guidance from them. But we're following the summer conditioning, following all those protocols, and we're in phase 1.5. People ask me, when will we know? We'd all like the answer to that. At some point in time, we need to know before they start practicing whether there's going to be a season or not. And I think the more conversations I have is it's going to be somewhere within the next 2 weeks that they're going to have to make that decision. So I know there's no guidance there, no definitive answer, but I think as you see across the nation in both college and the professional ranks of sports, it's become a very big challenge to do that because of everything that sports brings with it. It's not just the sports and those athletes, but everything that goes with it. So please hold on about sports and what will be coming forward. School supplies, in the reentry, a lot of parents, and we thank you for this, are asking principals and teachers, what can we do to help? What kind of school supplies is my child going to need? I would first by saying any of those school supplies that your child needs normally, I would say still purchase, because we don't want any sharing of supplies. So have it, scissors in the elementary grades, crayons, pencils, anything you can put in a sterilized pack. We still need those supplies, so still continue to try to purchase those. From a school standpoint, we will have masks, we will have the plexiglass, we will have anything, hand sanitizer, wipes, any kind of disinfectant wipes that we can and have received. So we'll have all those things throughout our classrooms, throughout our schools. If you would like to supply the schools with some additional, or your teacher with some additional ones, or your bus driver, please do. We're welcome to that. We will be supplying those supplies. It's listed here of what we've already purchased in our reentry plan, but we won't turn down any supplies. Some things are still hard to get, like disinfectant wipes. So if you have those and you're lucky to have those and you're willing to share, please share those with your school, with your child's teacher, with your child's bus driver. We're willing to take those and take whatever we can. And we appreciate that as we move forward, not just now, but during the school year as well. Transportation, we've developed a really good plan by having our AB cohort of splitting the number of students on a bus. The initial guidance from the state was 50% capacity on a bus. They have raised that to another magic number of 67%. I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason. I don't know what that is. We are sticking with the 50%. We felt like 96% of our 178 routes met that guidance, so we're going to stay with that. With the number of students who have chosen virtual academy, we feel we can be at that 50%, so we'll stay there. Again, our buses will be disinfected between routes and morning and afternoon routes. We are requiring students to wear a mask on the bus. If they do not have a mask when they board the bus, we'll have disposable masks there. We'll have disinfectant, hand and sanitizer on the bus. We will load the buses from back to front and then disembark from front to back. And I really think we've got a good plan. I ask parents this before you place your child on a bus. Please, if you can't take their temperature or just go through the symptoms checklist, please, now more than ever is not the time to send your child to school if they are sick, if they have some of the symptoms that are on for COVID-19. Please, I know it may impose a scheduling challenge for you, and especially if you're working, but please do not send them to or board them on the bus if they are sick. We ask for your help. If you've recognized anything about this pandemic, is that no single person can do anything or fix this on their own. It's going to take all of us collectively to make all this work. And if we all follow this guidance, it's going to help us get school open safely, keep school open safely, and keep everyone healthy as we move along. So we appreciate everyone's help, but I will say that it's going to take everyone to make this work. One of the things that I'm asked the most, besides about the difference between virtual and AB, is what if someone tests positive while they're in school, and all the hysteria and that goes along with that. And I think it's important for people to understand, and it's written in our reentry plan, of what the definitions of DHEC are. And if you haven't read their latest guidance, I encourage everyone to read it, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about what they say and what is and what's not. I think above my shoulder are some things that I'd like to just go over. And this is right now. This could change tomorrow. It could change 2 weeks from now. It could change by the first day that we enter school. But this is the guidance they have right now regarding a staff member or student testing positive for COVID-19. So we continue to work with DHEC and use their guidance to address, if we have a positive case, those protocols moving forward. If a staff or a student, you must make the district aware. If you test separately positive and after school or some other way, if you test positive, please let us know. It's an important part of this process. There is confidentiality. Your direct supervisor, the school nurse, are the people you need to notify to do that. But please, we take this seriously. We take your confidentiality seriously. We need to know at some point if we don't get that information from the medical offices at the hospitals. We need to be aware. Students or staff excluded for possible symptoms should not return until tested negative or a medical evaluation indicates that they were sick for another cause. What I mean by that is you don't return until you get a negative test or you get a note from your doctor saying it was strep throat, not COVID-19. Those are the ways to come back. Most recent guidance from DHEC indicates that those in close contact with a confirmed case will be directed to quarantine. And here is one of the most important things people need to know. A close contact definition. That is defined by DHEC as those who have been with the sick individual for 15 minutes or more and at a distance of less than 6 feet. Think about that. When we talk about close contact, that is what we're using from DHEC right now. 15 minutes or more at a distance less than 6 feet. So if you're in a school, we are not, by our definition of social distancing, within 6 feet, and normally not spending time more than 15 minutes with that person 15. So I think that's important. That's from DHEC. That is what we're using right now. Obviously that will change probably as we move forward and as schools start, but I want people to understand what close contact means. Anyone who tests positive will need to isolate until 10 days have passed and 24 hours have passed since their last fever and overall improvements in the symptoms. So all those things as we move forward. And anyone who tests positive but does not have symptoms will still be required to stay out of school and work for 10 days. So even though you may not have symptoms but test positive, you still have that 10-day requirement that we're following. So I hope that provides a little bit more guidance. I'm not asking you to agree or disagree or whatever. I'm just trying to provide what we're going to use as our guidance of what we can do for isolating and quarantining people if they test positive. So just to follow up and end this, I would say I was going to be about an hour. I'm pretty close. There are still some items that we need answers to. We still have to work on our grading policies, both in the AB face-to-face as well as in our virtual academy. And we're working on those over the summer. We still need, once August 10th comes and enrollment ends, what our virtual academy will look like for grades 3 through 6 and 9 to 10. Again, it's not saying it wouldn't be like the other grades that I discussed earlier. I just don't know right now, given the numbers in those grades, if I can offer at the same level. And so we have to wait till enrollment stops and then do that, because there's a lot of juggling in the district. Because again, I know many people don't want to hear my problems, but I still have the same amount of staff, and I've got to operate a district in school and then a district of 4,000 kids out of school with the same staff. If you know what I'm saying, it just doesn't work unless you're really creative. There'll be some information coming out about our 3K and our 4K programs shortly, special education as well. We've got to talk about how we're taking daily attendance, more information about some of those areas in the arts and athletics that are still left out there, and much, much more. We really want to make sure that we have all the details. We want to make sure that if we have to go remotely completely, it's a seamless transition. We do not want to do a 1 to 2 to 3 process. We just want to make sure anything we're doing, whether in virtual academy or face-to-face, if we have to go fully remote, that is a seamless process on what that would look like. If we have to go back to completely 5 days a week face-to-face, that process will be another face-to-face. Again, I will say something about the virtual academy. The October 8th is the deadline to come make a choice, but there will be a form online if you make the choice to go from face-to-face to virtual or virtual to face-to-face. You have from September 10th to October 8th to make your decision. The earlier you put that form in, the more likely on October 8th that transition can happen smoother. If you put that form in that wish to transfer from face-to-face to virtual, it's most likely not going to happen the next day because of the number of kids. The earlier you put it in, you have that window to change your mind at any point in time, but the physical moving won't occur till at least October 8th. So I wanted to clarify that as well. And before I start answering a few other questions that you may have if you're watching online, just also in the reentry plan or a couple of documents, we've got some calendars that are color-coded for parents. If your child is cohort A or cohort B, you can throw them up on your refrigerator. They're in the packet as well. Again, there are some sample examples of lessons for that A-B cohort, so you can follow 2nd grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, and 10th grade that you can take a look at to have a better idea. Those key dates for back to school are also listed in the packet. A calendar, which also has all the updated AB day on it. We put everything on here. It's a little bit small, so we kind of did another location, but this calendar is the calendar you should go off of, September 8th being the start of school. And then our on-site registration dates and times are also in this packet that you have. So there's a lot of information there. Hopefully today was a little bit helpful in beginning to answer some questions as we begin to plan some more over the coming month. But before I conclude and start answering some questions that you may have, I have to say thank you to our administrative team, our teachers, our counselors, support staff. You have people who have canceled vacations or coming into school trying to make all this work. They have a can-do attitude. They're working sometimes late at night to try to make all this work for our students, with the notion that this is a health pandemic and we've got to put safety first. But what can we do to continue as we put on our theme to emerge even stronger out of this than to be behind? Because we really feel we're a district moving forward at a strong pace, and we want to make sure our product that we're putting out there, regardless of what it is a strong product that everyone can be proud of. So I personally want to thank everyone, my administrative team, teachers, counselors, and everyone that is working throughout the summer, throughout the day and night to make all this work for our community and our kids, and I think that's important. So I will pause here. I am going to take a look at my phone as some of these questions are coming in or being texted to me. I don't want you to think I'm working while I'm talking now, but let me try to address. So one of the questions is, if you've already chosen virtual, can you change before August 10th deadline? Absolutely. You can change now. What I would ask you to do is call the district office and ask or email Haley Cagle. She's the one who's on the master list, because the master list is important because that's how we generate our letters, bus drivers. So if you've chosen something and you want to be removed, please do that now. And if that's something someone wants to do, if you can't get through, contact your principal. But Haley Cagle is the person, and we can always put up her email and phone number, home address. No, I'm kidding. People only do that to me, and I would want to make sure that she gets that information. But if you really want to and you can't get through, contact your building principal, and they'll make sure she gets that information. The second question, are masks also required if students wear face shields? No. If a student has a face shield, they do not need to wear a mask. But I will say, as I said earlier, the face shield must come around completely around their face and must be below their chin. So that is the requirement, not to wear a mask. If it doesn't meet those requirements, then they would have to wear a mask. But I think most of the face shields are. And I think we've ordered them for our teachers. I choose to wear one quite frequently because I think it provides a way people can see me and give direction. And soft-spoken that I am, I think they need my lips. Some people are laughing. So yes, if you wear a face shield, you do not need to wear a mask. And that would go for staff as well. Employee child care update information. I tried not to mix sort of the parents with the staff. What I will say to staff that are watching, tomorrow we'll release, I've been meeting with a group of teachers frequently, and they've posed 83 questions to us that we've answered. We will release those 83 questions and answers to the staff tomorrow. And also we will release some information about the child care opportunities for our staff that are available. So that information will come through an email to the staff directly that are coming on, but we will provide some child care for our staff during this time period, and that information will be emailed to everyone in our staff. Do IB students need to register for the virtual academy? No, they will be completely virtual. Brian Howell will be sending out a slide deck to explain IB program virtually, I think tomorrow, and then in the following week we'll be hosting some town hall meetings with parents to begin to explain some of those things. I know in the middle school IB program they do have the related arts, so what options are available for students in the IB program to take related arts. And so those questions will be answered. I will say, though, the program will be virtual for both Williams and Wilson High School for the IB program to start off with. And those specifics will be discussed with Mr. Howell with the parents later on. Chromebook distribution information, that will be coming out shortly. That will be done through the schools. I know the elementary principals are meeting as we're speaking right now to come up with a common time and a common place and a common location and distribution to do that. So that will be very shortly. I believe all Chromebooks will be distributed before school starts. I think that's an important part. So if you're a B student, your first day of school is not till September 9th. We want to make sure you have that opportunity. And virtual academy students, we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to have your device when you start on September 8th as well. Are there any more questions that are specific? If not, I've kept it to about an hour. I appreciate that. I hope you take the time to read this document that we've planned about emerging stronger and answer some of the questions. I don't have the questions of how long are we going to be into this I think we've been asking that since March 13th when we've been home. And there's only one person that I don't know, but I know knows, but and he's the only person that will know. But we are just going to have to work together. I continue to ask for your patience as we begin to answer questions. If you have questions, we probably will set something up where you can ask those. We'll be doing these Facebook Lives every week to try to get the answers to some of your questions. We'll have people that will be looking at this Facebook Live and the thread to kind of go through some common themes of questions if you didn't get answered for the next time, and to add some of those things. And then the last thing to close out all I would say is these people that I've thanked to end this are the people that I encourage parents to ask. A lot of people have asked me, well, what would you do? Or what do you think we should do? I don't know what to do. I would go with those people, your teacher, your building principal, your neighbor who might be an educator, because those are the ones that you entrust your children with every day. Those are the ones who I think will trust you to give you a good answer on what you should do. It's a parental decision that we respect either way, so don't think in any way the school looks at your decision in any way. We are a school district that looks to provide the best education regardless of the circumstances, and that's what we're trying to do. This is quite difficult, but challenge accepted, and we're going to do our best to provide that opportunity. So I thank you for watching and listening, and continue to be safe and healthy. And we really appreciate your patience and your guidance in helping us be a better school district and a better community. Thank you.